In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II is the best vlogging camera for under $1,000. That's US dollars. So if you live in Australia, I picked this up for just under $1,200 and it's been my favorite go-to camera for any type of shooting outdoors. Now, just to let you know, if you're new to the channel, I paid for this. I'm not an Olympus ambassador or anything like that. So all the reasons in this video will be my very own, and I hope you like this video. If it's helpful, please drop a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Let's get into it. So the first thing I love about the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II has to be the awesome stabilization. What you're looking at now is the second of 2 different modes. You can also turn it off, so technically there's 3. But this is sensor shift only, which still gives you really great stabilization, and it also gives you a little bit of a wider field of view than sensor shift and digital combined, which I'll show you now. What you're looking at right now is sensor shift and digital stabilization working together to give you really great results. But as you can see, the field of view has changed quite a bit. I've lost about 10% of my image or so. So just keep that in mind. You can use whichever one works best for you. With this unstabilized 15mm f1.7 prime lens from Panasonic, I prefer to have a little bit more stabilization than less, but overall both work extremely well. This is really quite class leading, even in 2021. There's not many cameras that will give you this great stabilization straight out of camera without having to run it through some third-party software. Now, if you want to take the stabilization game to the next level, find a lens that has optical stabilization built in. This one does. This is the Panasonic 12-60 kit lens. They throw this in with a lot of bundles. It works and it has really great stabilization with this camera. What I'm going to do is leave a list of lenses in the description below that have optical stabilization if you're looking for something to give you the best results. The second thing I love about the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II is its great face detection autofocus. In micro four thirds, this is unheard of. Most people are familiar with Panasonic's autofocus, kind of sucks. This is by far the best micro four thirds camera on the market in terms of reliable, repeatable, and accurate autofocus. It just works every single time, and it works with all the lenses that support autofocus that I currently own on this Panasonic mount, and I'll show you some examples of that. This is the 15mm f1.7. The third reason why the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II is the best vlogging camera is the lens selection. Micro four thirds has so many different lenses at different price points. So if you're on a budget, you can get a really great lens. If you want to spend a little bit more and get heaps more background blur, you can do that as well. Now, some people will argue that micro four thirds is kind of on the way out. I don't think so. Camera companies are still releasing vlogging cameras with smaller sensors than micro four thirds and also micro four thirds vlogging cameras. So this is far better than any of the other vlogging cameras on the market. This was a flagship camera, and having access to hundreds of different lenses from different companies is a real winner. So the fourth thing to love about the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II is its color science. I love the natural profile on this camera, and through some tweaks, I made a tutorial up here, you can check it out. I got some really great straight out of camera results, which can't be said for a lot of other cameras out there. Now, when I compare this to something like my GH5, the GH5 has far more green in the image, and I usually compensate by pulling that out of the camera. This also had it, but thanks to some tweaks in the super control panel, these are the kind of results you can get, and I really think this speaks for itself. The 12mm f1.4 prime as well gives you really great background separation as well, if that's important to you. But overall, man, you can get some great results with this with minimal editing. Saving time is always a good thing. The fifth thing to love about the OMD EM1 Mark II for vlogging is that it's essentially the same now as the OMD EM1 Mark III. So if you're deciding whether or not to buy the 2 or the 3 because the 3 is newer, Thanks to firmware upgrades from Olympus, the OMD EM1 Mark II is now the same as the OMD EM1 Mark III, both in terms of autofocus performance, picture quality, and video features. So there's no real reason to go ahead and buy the OMD EM1 Mark III unless you want a higher end photography camera. But this takes great photos. It was one of the flagship cameras at the time of release, and I still prefer this over my Panasonics when it comes to just taking great photos. And lastly, I'm just going to throw in a couple of extra benefits of this camera. We get a fully articulating flippy screen, we get a microphone input, the preamps in terms of the audio quality are fantastic. So if you're using a shotgun microphone, or if you're using some type of Rode Wireless Go or a Saramonic Blink 500 pack, you're going to get great quality audio, as well as it being easy to frame your video thanks to that flippy screen. So while I'm a huge fan of the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II and what it does for my particular situation, it's not without a few drawbacks. So one of those drawbacks is there's no 10-bit codecs whatsoever. There's also no 4K 60. You do get 1080p at 60 or 50 frames per second and 4K at 24, 25 and 30p, but no 4K 60. Another potential deal breaker for some might be that this doesn't support unlimited recording, so you do get that 30-minute limit. But one of the great things about this, you can shoot in Cinema 4K. That's right, this has DCI 4K built in, as well as UHD. So there's a lot to like about this, with a few minor trade-offs. So at the end of the day, I would have no hesitations in recommending the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II for anyone who's wanting to start a vlog channel, or someone who's already maybe invested in micro four thirds lenses, who wants something with great autofocus and great stabilization. So just to put this into context, I shoot a lot of videos over a number of different YouTube channels. I took this, the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II, and the Panasonic S5 recently to Sydney, and I used this for everything we did outside because it was just great. This nice light lens, this 15mm f1.7 or even the 12mm f1.4 gave me spectacular results and really decent results in those lower light situations as well. So I would have no hesitations recommending this. The stabilizer is awesome. The straight out of camera colors are awesome as well. And there's just a lot to like about it. Battery life, awesome. What can I say about it? Unless you're really looking for 4K 60 or 10-bit codecs, then I would give this a miss. But overall, man, this is one of the best vlogging cameras on the market. If you'd like to find out about this camera, I'll leave some affiliate links in the description below. They help support the channel at no extra cost to you. Thanks again for watching. Catch you soon. See ya.